The people decide. The voices impacting Omaha. This is Election Coverage 2025 on The Dan Parsons Show.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to The Dan Parsons Show. I'm your host, Dan Parsons. Well, the race for mayor of Omaha is heating up, with just days to go before voters head to the polls this coming Tuesday, May 13th. Incumbent Republican Mayor Gene Stothert is facing off against Democrat and Douglas County Treasurer John Ewing Jr. Both candidates joined me on the Dan Parsons Show a few weeks ago. Those interviews are still available, so go check them out. And as you may remember, we've partnered with Flatwater Free Press and Civic Nebraska on their voter guide project for the Omaha City elections. We shared those interviews with Flatwater and Civic Nebraska for wider publication. So go check out that voter guide. It's a great tool. I asked both Mayor Stothert and John Ewing about the downtown-to-midtown streetcar project, which is already under construction. And it sparked a lot of debate, as you may know. What do they think of the project and how it's being funded? And if elected, how would they oversee it moving forward? Here's what they said. You told WWT recently that you opposed the streetcar project and you called it trolley folly, but you conceded that it's too late to stop the project. Talk a little bit about that project and your stance on it.
Sure. Well, the most important thing is that I believe the streetcar should have gone to a vote of the people. That's what the mayor promised when she was running for re-election. And my opposition is primarily based on that fact. I believe it's critically important, like I said in my introduction, that leaders tell people the truth and they keep their promises. And so when you don't do that, I think that creates a very tough issue for the citizens of this community and a lot of opposition. I think if you believe a project is worthwhile as mayor, it becomes your responsibility to help sell that and convince the people that it's a worthwhile project. Having said that, when I look at the construction and tearing up for Farnham Street, when I look at the Harney Street Bridge being taken down, when I look at 19 contracts being signed and all of those things being done and rushed to get to this point, you have to be honest with the people. I'm not going to tell the people I can stop something that I don't believe I can. That's just not who I'm going to be. I'm never going to be a politician. I'm going to be a public servant who tells people the truth. So I've conceded that point simply because I believe it's true. Now, if it turns out that I'm wrong and it will be something that can be examined and we can do it without harming the city's image and the city's reputation and the city's relationships, then I certainly would take another look at it. I just don't believe that's possible.
Interesting. In another interview with KETV, you said, if we don't have public transportation that works, we hurt our economy. We hurt our businesses. And once again, we have a drag on our economy. Talk a little bit about that sentiment, John, as far as public transportation, and I guess juxtapose that with the streetcar project.
Sure. So one of the things I look at with the young people of this community and the brain drain that we're having is Omaha is a very car-centric city. And a lot of our young people don't necessarily want the expense of having a car payment, having to pay for gas, having to pay for insurance, having to register the vehicle, having to then pay for repairs as well. So it becomes a very expensive proposition. So that hurts our young people who are potentially starting their careers when they don't have access to public transportation. It also hurts our economically challenged people as well. When they don't have access to public transportation, then they may not be able to get the transportation they need to get to the jobs that are available. So the more we can improve our public transportation, the more we can help retain our young people, but also then put people in position to be able to get to the jobs that are available. In Omaha, we always have a mismatch between the jobs that are available and the people who are unemployed. Some of that is skill set, so we have to make sure we're doing everything we can to upskill our people as well. But we have to make sure they can get to the jobs that are available.
And the streetcar project, how does that apply, or does it, to that vision of having more transportation for younger people in the community?
It's a nice tourism thing. It's a fun thing. I don't think it plays into public transportation very well unless somehow you can connect it to other forms of transportation like metro area transit, and then some of the other things that Metro is looking at with vans and things like that. If you can connect it, and if you can take that streetcar and expand it to where it is going to places that people want to go to, then it can play a role, but it has to be connected and it has to be expandable. When we look at our public transportation, when we look at getting people from place to place, it's really a combined approach of making this a more friendly city for people who want to walk, people who want to ride a bike, people who don't want to own a car. We've got to figure those things out.
Under your leadership and vision, as well as the City Council, business leaders, Greater Omaha Chamber, you've championed the streetcar project as a way to accelerate development and to help retain and lure talent to the city. Mm-hmm. Are you satisfied with the way the project has been managed and financed to this point? And would you have done anything differently?
I am very satisfied, because I got to just start out with saying the streetcar isn't something that Mayor Stothert thought of individually and wanted to push this through. We've been talking about the streetcar for 20 years. And several years ago, with the encouragement of the City of Omaha, the Greater Omaha Chamber of Commerce formed the Urban Core Committee. They have a defined area of downtown-midtown, and their job was to create a plan to have a comprehensive, organized development of that area, very intentional development of that whole area. When they came out with their strategic plan, the number one issue that they recommended was building a streetcar. It was going to be, as you said, a catalyst for economic development in the urban core, and it was to get people in, around, and out of downtown. I told them, okay, fine, you give me a funding model that I don't have to raise taxes or don't have to add a new tax. You got me on board. No pun intended there. And so they did that. They gave me a funding model that did not require a tax increase or a new tax. So I took it a step further, and I hired a company out of Baltimore called Unicap. They came in and spent 9 months in Omaha, looked at every parcel along the corridor where the streetcar was going to be. And they estimated that in the first 15 years, we would have $2 billion worth of new development that would generate more than enough money to pay for the streetcar. By the end of 2024, we already had $1.5 billion already. So even before the tracks went into the ground, it's successful. Now they have reevaluated, and they said $4 billion worth of new development, which will generate about $900 million, which is more than enough to pay for the streetcar, which is $389 million. It's not $500 million, $1 billion. I hear all these numbers being thrown out, but more than enough to pay for that, plus have money for other things like affordable housing. So it is, the plan that we have is very comprehensive. A lot of people went into studying it and recommending it. The thing of it is people don't understand it. And I think it all goes back to not the streetcar, it's taxes. And people don't want their taxes to go up. And I can guarantee people that their property tax levy is not going to go up to pay for the streetcar. And unless you are revenue producing commercial property along the route, you're not going to be paying for it. No single family, no duplexes, no 4-family, no condos. All of those are taken out. So it is a great project. We looked at other cities that have done streetcars, and on every one of them, their initial estimates of what the revenue it would produce around the route, it's exceeded what their original estimates were. Kansas City is our nearest neighbor. Theirs is so successful, they're building an extension And we're already looking at an extension. I applied for a grant with the U.S. Department of Transportation to study a route up to North Omaha, potentially up to the airport. So we did get that grant to study, and then looking at taking it down to the zoo in the future too. It's free too. And so you can hop on and off as much as you want. We're not depending on ridership to pay for it. And we're very confident that it will pay for itself. How do you pay for a streetcar? You build a streetcar. And if you look at my city budget, which is online, very transparent, there is no line item for the streetcar. There's no money in the budget for the streetcar. The streetcar will pay for itself.
I've been to Kansas City and used their streetcar. It's fantastic. And you can just see the development. Anyway, I'm editorializing. It reminds me of a decade.
Oh my, it sounds like.
It reminds me of a decade ago when Mayor Beitler did the bold PBA out my window here. And there were doubters and people. I was like, yeah. And so,
well, I if I could, I always give the example in Omaha of the ballpark. When the ballpark was at Rosenblatt, people loved it. When they started talking about building a new ballpark, people said, oh, I will never go to another College World Series ever again. If you leave Rosenblatt, I will hate it. I won't go. And it did not go up for a vote because of the way it was funded. And we didn't put the streetcar to a vote because of the way it is funded. But if it's using general obligation bonds, if the taxpayers are paying for it, if their taxes are going to go up, I will put it out on a bond issue. I put 6 bond issues on the ballot in November, and they all passed. And so it's the way that we're funding it. I can guarantee you people go to the new stadium downtown. I mean, we have record crowds, we have sellout crowds. And so all of those that didn't want the change are saying now, yeah, I get it. Same thing happened with the Jean Leahy Mall. When we started redoing it and raising it to ground level, I had people so mad at raising it to ground level. And now over 5 million people have visited those new parks. Sometimes change is hard. But, if I do about a 30-minute PowerPoint on the streetcar, and I could turn the most skeptical opponents into supporters if they just give me 30 minutes to explain.
Hey, my sincere thanks to Mayor Stothert and John Ewing for coming on the show to speak to voters during your campaigns. Omaha residents, don't forget to vote. Turnout in local elections is typically lower, so your vote on Tuesday will have even more influence on the future of our city and our state. The polls open for the Omaha City general elections this Tuesday, May 13th from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. See this episode's description for the Flatwater Free Press and Civic Nebraska voter guide and more voter resources. Thanks to Chase Porter for your great job in producing this episode. Penology Tech Solutions for your technical help and equipment. Kim Remington, Parsons Public Relations Director of Operations. And most importantly, my thanks to each of you for tuning in. And hey, if you're into what we're doing here, holding truth over tribalism, here are a few things to do to show your love. Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you get a notice when a new episode appears. Hit like on the video or follow us wherever you get your podcasts. And let us know in the comments who's got your vote on May 13th. Okay, that's the show. Thanks for tuning in. Now go do good things. I'm Dan Parsons.